So the earliest presidential debate ever took place last week between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And we thought, are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Well, welcome to the first edition of Cosmic Reckoning via Zoom. We're on vacation this week. I'm at home, Brad's at home. We're all busy. We couldn't get together, and so we decided let's just go for it. So if there's any mistakes, blame it on my wife because she's the director. All right, anyway, look, let me give my take first, Brad, and then I'll let you give your take, okay? Look, the way I see it, the debate for Joe Biden was a chance to offer proof of life, but we found out he's just 1 foot shy of 6 feet under. What do you say, Brad?
Well, it was definitely an unmitigated disaster. I'm not sure how you managed to screw things up that bad after you did your little European vacation tour that they said there was some kind of political stuff going on, supposedly, in Europe. So we don't even know how many hours he worked, how many hours he slept, and how many hours he actually practiced reading his lines. But wow, that was epic.
And you know, our good friend Bo Davidson, musician extraordinaire, TV personality, he made a good point in an interview on Sky News when he said you didn't even need the audio to know which candidate was engaged and prepared and which one was lost with a blank stare of confusion. So for any of you who haven't seen it, you don't even have to turn the audio on and you'll know Donald Trump won. But you know what? Probably the best take was live during the debate when Donald Trump responded to, well, as best we can all tell, some type of mumbled, garbled message from Joe Biden.
It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Yeah, we don't know what he said either.
I can't get there from here.
And was anybody really surprised? The corporate media is acting like the last 4 years never happened. Everyone knew in 2019 that Joe had lost his fastball. And now they pretend to be shocked that Joe can't even find home plate.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So don't be fooled. These people have been protecting and propping up Joe Biden from the basement to the White House. Hey, Brad, remember that movie, A Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes, I do. Yes, a fine movie it was about two gentlemen who went on vacation to the boss's beach house. And somehow he manages to die right at the beginning.
What kind of a host invites you to his house for the weekend and dies on you?
I don't know.
Lomax told whoever he's talking to not to kill us if he's around, right?
Yeah, but Lomax is dead. He's not around anybody anymore.
I know that. You know that. Nobody else knows that. Huh?
Oh!
Where's Bernie? It looks good enough. Let's go.
And they're trying to keep it a secret the whole time. So the whole movie is this hilarious gallivant around the beach and the city and wherever they go, trying to keep him alive and show people, hey, everything's awesome. It's all okay. Nothing to see here. And in the end, we all knew we could see it.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Doesn't anyone realize he's dead?
It's a total disaster. Everybody's freaking out. So what did the White House say today?
Yes. Well, Karine Jean-Pierre, I believe I got that right. We'll say JP to keep it short. The White House press secretary. She comes out and said, well, yes, of course it was a disaster. I mean, once in a while, people have a bad day. And she blew it off. And she said, we got together with all of the top Democrats to discuss what should Biden do? Should he go ahead and quit, like some people are saying now, or should he stay in the race? And they all agreed he should stay in the race. And then I thought, well, who are these advisors? Well, they're all the advisors, the top Democrats that already support Joe Biden. It wasn't the Democrats that are calling for him to leave or anybody like that. So it's like, of course they're going to tell him to stay. In fact, you know what? I think I heard that there's a convicted felon now who's his chief of staff, a guy named, Hunter?
That was a soundbite to, elevate the hilariousness of your point there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? She didn't say anything else worth really mentioning. Okay, here's one thing I did like. The reporter asked her, well, what about when Biden said that under his presidency, not one single military personnel died? Her response was kind of epically ridiculous because she said, well, if you remember, Biden actually went to Dover Air Force Base and received the 13 bodies and met with the families. And so, of course, he loves all the military personnel and he sends his best regards and blah, 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 and lay it on thick. And it's like, wait a minute. The only thing I heard that she just said is, you remember. I think that was the question. We remember, but Biden didn't.
Exactly. And that kind of plays to a point we're going to make in just a little bit about the fact that they've been gaslighting us about Joe Biden the whole time. That's a perfect example. So essentially, basically, the White House says, oh, Joe had a cold and he had jet lag. So even though, as Brad just pointed out, he had 2 weeks to rest up and 7 or 8 days to prepare. And the White House itself leaked that he was taking naps every day. And so what does KGP says? She says, well, he pushed through that cold and he pushed through that jet lag. And that's what great leaders do. So essentially, we all should give Joe Biden a participation trophy.
Low self-esteem can cripple your child's chances of success. The cure? Praise. Praise they can hold in their hands. Certificates, ribbons, and yes, even trophies.
Trophies. So that's the easy answer.
If Ralphie's shelf says he's a winner, then he'll be one.
I'm a unitard!
Here's one of the main points we want to make, all kidding aside. It's the policies, stupid. We can talk about Biden all we want, and there's lots of fun stuff to talk about there. But really what we want to talk about are the big lie. Of course, the big lie is that Joe Biden is mentally fit. He's like a spring chicken running around. Nobody can keep up with him. It's ridiculous. But the most important lies are what they told us over the last 3.5 years. Remember when they told us that Afghanistan's withdrawal, which ended up in the death of 13 soldiers and maiming of hundreds of other people in a frantic escape plan there from Afghanistan, they called that an extraordinary success.
The border is secure.
If you get this shot, you won't get COVID.
This is the pandemic of the unvaccinated?
Inflation is transitory.
So you're telling me Ukraine might defeat Russia?
And we support Israel and Hamas by withholding weapons from Israel and sending hundreds of millions of taxpayers' dollars to Hamas. And that's how we do that.
And Biden's trying to tell us that the perfectly timed 91 indictments against Donald J. Trump were not planned and executed by his team and the DOJ.
¿Y de los ayuntamientos de la isla?
All of these were blatant lies. You didn't need an expert to explain any of it. Our own lived experience proved the Biden White House and corporate media were playing all of us for fools. So now what? Trump should paint a picture of the success of his first term and explain how he can build on that success to bring back an affordable economy, end these senseless wars, secure the border, and find common ground on legal immigration. And so far, let's face it, Trump has stepped back to watch the self-immolation of the Democratic Party. Joe says he's not leaving the White House. Democrats are in a panic, and the corporate media are dazed and confused like passengers on the Titanic as the cruise liner begins to sink beneath the surface of the murky waters. And we're here for it. But can we not all stop and appreciate the cosmic reckoning of this moment? The charge against Donald Trump was that he would make himself a dictator and refuse to leave office. But he did leave office and officially transition to the Biden administration. Yet, here we are. You can't unsee what we saw in that debate. We have a president who is unfit for office. Even more, Joe promised the Democratic Party that he would be a, quote, bridge to the next generation, end quote. Joe promised he would not run for a second term in private meetings, according to Politico. But icebergs be damned, it's full speed ahead. It's Joe Biden that made himself a dictator. The good and decent boy from Scranton refuses to put country first. Instead, it's all about Joe Biden.
So where does Joe go after the debacle of his debacle? He goes to his family. Kind of sounds like a dictator to me. I mean, not the family who's been in private and hiding and not involved in politics, but the family led by his son Hunter, who is his now, I guess, apparently chief of staff, making money off of his political career, pay for play from half the countries around the world. Gosh, that just does not sound like a person who really cares about the American people of the country. That sounds like someone who cares about himself and his family's best interests.
Yeah, exactly. So, as for Trump, what did he do to cause all of this Biden chaos? Well, nothing, except that he chose to run for a second term. My friends, God only suffers fools for so long. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A president will reap what he sows. So I prophesied, or maybe I should say predicted this of January of 2020. The perceived chaos of the Trump White House has become a reality of chaos from Biden's White House for all Americans. So one of the main axioms that Bradley and I have been trying to share with these podcasts is this: it's the policy, stupid. We should stop fussing over the personalities of the politicians and instead focus on the outcomes of their policies. That kind of a debate was centered on facts and context. And in this way, politics will become less divisive and personal. It's the policies, stupid.
It's not complicated. It's frustrating because I think a lot of people would like to follow the rule of thumb nowadays that everything has to fit into like an 8-second soundbite that fits on TikTok. And the problem with that is you can't really think through that. So all we're saying is let's have a debate and let's be willing to open ourselves up to a conversation that requires some serious thought.
To summarize all of this is actually the best election of our lifetimes because we can compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. We can look at Donald Trump's term in office and Joe Biden's term in office. We can look at the outcomes of both of these two presidents. And it's actually not that hard. We don't have to mess around with personalities, orange man bad or Joe Biden has dementia. All we have to do, think about it, all we have to do is look at our checkbooks. All we have to do is look at our monthly bills and the cost of living. All we have to do is look at the disaster in Ukraine, the mess in Israel and Hamas. So let's do this. Let's vote for what works and let's jettison what doesn't work. I'm Brian.
I'm Bradley.
That's today's Cosmic Reckoning. And remember, think right to live free.